But we have a special guest, obviously because number one, I mean, it's the greatest instrument in the world. It's the greatest instrument in the world, and I'll let you guess what it is. You can guess in the chat. But yeah, her name is Desarae. She's a piano player. She's a teacher. She's a composer. She's a producer. She's a arranger and arranger. What else do you do, Desiree? What
Um,
else am I missing from the resume? The
a con-
eclectic resume.
content creator,
Content creator,
trailblazer.
trailblazer. She's just out here.
That's pretty much it.
She's just out here. So I'm really happy to have honestly piano because the last time we did piano was my session and that was like too long ago. We had bass, two times bass, which bass is great, but it's a lot of bass. We had another producer as well, Sean Samuels. And last night, oh my God, we had a crazy band last night. I hope you guys come out tomorrow. Tomorrow is what, Wednesday? We have a band coming. We have Adrian Bent, Jermaine, Joseph, Daniel Cohen's, and Dwayne Wade on bass, not the ball player, the bass
That's
player.
a that's
So
a
make sure to
that's
come out for
nice.
that. These guys were here on Monday and they were destroying the building was overheating. It was crazy. Um, but yeah, that's for tomorrow. But for today, again, like I said, piano, producer, arranger, all of that. Like it's dope. She has a million projects out online right now. We're gonna talk about all of them. When was your last project dropped? On Friday, right?
Yeah, my friend.
Yeah, Friday. So make sure to check that out. At the end, we'll drop links, we'll drop everything, we'll drop socials, all that good stuff. Um, but for today, we'll just open up a little bit about sound check for people that don't know. Does anybody know what a sound check is? I know we ask this all the time, and someone must know by this time. What is a sound check?
Like when you go hours before a show to like
Yep.
check your levels and make sure everything sounds good.
Right. So that's essentially what a sound check is. So Joel decided to take that idea and make it sort of like a model. Check your sound, make sure that you're good, you're kosher, all that good stuff. So sound check, we started like what, maybe 6 years ago, I think. I think it was about 6, 7 years ago. We were at Weston Road, Weston and Lawrence, started in the basement of a church. And now we're in this wonderful facility at 1122. Why did I say 1122? 1122 Castlefield Avenue. That's like 5 minutes from Yorkdale, and that's where we are now. That's where Desiree is at right now on the low. Um, so what does SoundCheck do? SoundCheck provides marginalized youth with opportunities to develop musical proficiency, positive identities, and leadership skills within a safe learning environment through musical instruction, mentorship, and performance. Right. So we've been doing this for a while. We teach bass, guitar, drums, and bass. Say bass already? Yeah. And then we've been doing that for, like I said, like 6, 7 years now. It's probably, I'm gonna say 6 years, be safe. So yeah, we've been here, we've been doing this, and we're happy to have all of you here. Make sure to follow us on the socials. We got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at SoundCheck Youth. We're there, and yeah, be plugged in. Make sure you know what's going on. Again, tomorrow's our last session, so be sure to check that out. So, oh, we got a few more people coming in. Welcome everyone that's coming in. Welcome. I hope you guys are all ordering your food. What are you guys ordering? Someone said McDonald's. Someone said getting some McDonald's. Post the socials in the chat for sure, for sure. Let's start that now. Desiree, I don't know if you want to post your
Yeah,
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube,
I'll do that.
TikTok, if you have it. Is it possible for the camera to come closer to show hands? Yeah, that would be an interesting idea. Is it possible?
I will try my best.
Yeah. Shout out to whoever made that suggestion. Who was that? Jonathan? Yes. That
That's
pretty
the
keyboard.
best I can do right now, guys. So, um,
And
I
then we can't
will
see your face. That's
try my
awkward.
best. Uh,
Yep, the Nord, the
yes, the
big
Nord.
boss.
Uh,
Yes. Someone
what
said,
do I
love that
have?
setup. Praise the
Snapchat.
Lord.
Snapchat.
Oh
What else do
man.
I have?
So
SoundCloud.
Desiree, what kind of keyboard is that? What do you got going on over there?
Okay, so I have a Nord Electro 6D.
Okay.
Um, I've played pretty much all of the Nords. I've played the Nord 2, 3, 4. I've played the Wave.
Okay.
I played the organ one.
Okay.
And then
Was
of
that
course I've
C2 or something?
played. Sorry,
C2 or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But out of all of them, the Nord Electro 60 is my favorite, just because like I'm a neo soul artist. So
Okay.
and Rhodes keys. I love the key sounds on here.
Yeah.
I like the Rhodes sounds on here. I like the fact that I can carry it.
Right. How much is that weigh?
It doesn't weigh much compared to my Yamaha S90 ES that I have at home, which is like a monster. This is very lightweight. You can actually buy the backpack bag for this. So when I do gig, I literally just put it in the bag as a backpack and I just carry it around. It's great. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I need to fix that.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe when you're playing, or yeah, even like that. That's good. That's good. There we go. You can
Okay.
still see the keys, right?
Yeah, in a way.
All the latecomers that don't get to see the pretty keyboard, that's their problem.
That's too bad. Should have been on time.
All right, it should have been on time. All right, so I'm killing time. Hopefully that everyone. Oh, someone got Sunrise. What are you getting from Sunrise, Ben?
I'll pick
I had
it up.
Sunrise last night. It was so good.
Jerk chicken.
Jerk
Turtle,
chicken.
Oxtail. Oxtail's expensive now. So.
I know oxtail has forever been since the dawn of time. It's been expensive. It's never been cheap.
Oh, he tried to get it first.
Oh, you got the jerk. Okay.
Okay, Ben,
Okay.
get your life.
Yeah, feel free. Everyone, drop what you're ordering. To me, I'm getting the same thing that I always get, Apache burger. I'm dropping that in the chat. So I get my little vegan burger from there. It's probably one of the best vegetarian burgers I've had. It's top five. It's top five for me for sure.
Okay.
Top five.
Twice
As
as
nice. I think Jonathan got a burger last time too, or something, or the time before that.
Yeah.
4-piece combo from KFC. Jeez.
Oh, okay.
Large and in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So Desiree,
Yes.
is piano the only instrument that you play?
No, I play 15 instruments.
Wow.
There's a lot of things I don't advertise on social media.
Yeah.
So, like, people just know me as the artist,
Yeah.
keyboard player. So they don't know I play other instruments unless, one day I decide to play one of them and post a video. Those you'd have to ask and talk to me. So, honestly, I learned a lot of the instruments because I also teach in the school system. So I work for the Toronto District School Board as a elementary occasional teacher, music and math from kindergarten to grade 8. So I learned it for that, so I can teach in the system. So I can play a couple scales on each instrument.
Mhm.
Time for a song with all those instruments. What are you talking about?
Desiree Collier.
So I
What-
play piano,
what's the band?
obviously. I've been playing piano since the dawn of time.
Wow.
And then when I got to grade 6, I picked up the trumpet.
Okay.
Yes.
How was that learning curve?
Well, let's just say my bottom lip is too big for the trumpet. So
Okay.
I kind of did away with it and switched to alto saxophone.
Okay.
And that became my secondary instrument. So I've been playing that since I was like 12 years old.
Wow.
So I played in Durham Honor Band when I was in grade 7. I was the only one chosen in my whole entire school. So,
Wow.
and then I played in Durham Honor Band in grade 12 for the jazz band. So I played keys for that. Yeah. When I got to high school, that's when I really enjoyed music. I won a bunch of awards, and I had the highest graduating average in music in the
Wow.
entire school.
So accolades on
Since it opened, I have the highest average. Yeah. I think I graduated with a 99% average.
What? That's like perfect.
Yeah.
That's like Lysol wipes.
But I'll tell you guys a quick story. When I was in grade 12, I took a music course, and my music teacher at midterms refused to give me 100% on my midterm.
Wow.
He said, I don't give out 100s on midterms. So I said, oh, so you're going to purposely dock 1% knowing that I have 100% in your class. I know,
Wow.
wild, but
Odd.
that wasn't the only class I had perfect in. I got 100 in Spanish as well, too. So
Wow.
the teacher was willing to give me 100 for that class, but he
Wow.
purposely wouldn't do it. So I was like, oh, okay,
Wow.
because I'm black, isn't it?
Wow. Well, it's also because you're black, why you're so talented in music, because I feel like we are a little bit blessed.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Let me open up my little slideshow here so people can see, for my visual learners out there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see my logo here in the corner.
And you
Um,
create that.
I've gone through, this is my second logo. I had a original logo that was like my name, and then I had like a piano
Mm-hmm.
underneath. And then one day my manager was like, it's time to upgrade your logo. So
Yeah. Wow.
I have a friend. Her name is Josie LaCorte. So some of you guys might know her. Some of you might not. She's amazing. She helped me create this logo. So essentially, in the logo, it's the two D's, which represents my name, Desarae Dee. And then on the second D, there's like a keyboard,
Okay.
right?
Okay, I see
And
it.
then the first D is an actual outline of my face.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I have a question before you get into your presentation.
yeah.
Did your passion for music precede your instrument, or did the instrument come after? Like, where did that chain, that link happen?
Um, my passion for my instrument grew over time.
Mhm.
So it wasn't something that I was passionate about because I'm sure, like everybody else, I was forced to do music.
Okay.
So it wasn't a decision of my own. I mean, I was 6 years old. I couldn't make decisions on my own at that age. And my dad is the musician in the house, and he wanted either myself or my brother to play music. And my brother was a gamer, so that wasn't his lane. So
Mm.
my dad was like, "So you're gonna learn how to play the piano. We know you have a gift, so we're gonna bring it out of you." I hated piano for the first 3 years
Wow.
because I went through so many different teachers. So it wasn't until I was around 8.5, 9, I actually got a teacher who not only cared about my development, but cared about me as a person. And I think that's so important for anybody who's taking lessons out there. Um, Sometimes you run into teachers who only care about the money, and they just do it because they're getting a paycheck at the end of the month. But
Mm.
this teacher actually took the opportunity to get to know who Desiree was, not just Desiree the piano player, but Desiree the person. What are you about? Like, how's school going? How are you feeling? How's your mental health? All that stuff. So that resonated with me, and that made me enjoy music more because somebody cared about me outside of music. And
That's
then she helped bring out that passion for music that I didn't even know I had. So when I got to high school, I loved it and decided that this was something that I could pursue, and I went to school for it. So,
wow. That's amazing.
mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, so I'll go through a couple of things. I know there's a lot of info here, but yeah. So I started my music journey in 1996. So that was 25 years ago. Um, and I was classically trained for 13 years. So from 1996 to 2009. I started playing in church at the age of 13. And then, of course, as I just said, my musical passion came alive in high school. Won multiple music awards, and I had the highest graduating average. I wrote my first instrumental song at 15 years old. Um, that was kind of my transitioning period of trying to figure out like jazz and jazz chords and gospel nuances, because that obviously at that time I was playing in church. So I came up with the song, didn't know what I was playing, so I went to school to figure out what I was playing because I didn't teach that in high school. I attended York University, studied music, so did classical, jazz, I did Caribbean, bunch of different genres when I was at York. And then I went to Western University after that and got my teaching degree. I became an artist in 2014, so 7 years ago, and released my first single that year. I didn't put out a project until 2016, and it just so happens that I put out two projects that year, both 6 months apart. So I put the first project out in 2016 June, and then I put out a Christmas project the same year in December. Don't ask me how I did it. I did it. And then I got management in 2017. So in that first 3 years of my artist journey, I was doing everything myself. I was Ready Music. I was the manager. I was the social media marketer. I was the booking agent. I was the graphic designer. I was this. So it wasn't until I got management where I could finally be the artist that I wanted to be because I didn't have to worry about all the back end stuff. So yeah, I spent most of my journey playing for a lot of upcoming artists. So I've played for Karen Jules, James Bailey, Tafari Anthony, Fame Holiday, Romeo Wilson, Tashawn Knight. When Role Model Records was around, Chope, and a bunch of other people as well. I continued to release music in 2017, and I went on a hiatus in 2018. 2018 was a rough year for me, and I had a drought, couldn't write anything. I was unmotivated, not creative, didn't want to do anything. But it wasn't until that summer of that year where I made a discovery in my garage band at the time. That's what I was using. And I saw that little loop button. I was like, oh, this is the first time I've seen this thing. Never seen it. Clicked, and I saw a whole bunch of like drum loops and sounds. And I said, this has been here for this long and I didn't know. So that really opened up my brain. And that's when I actually really took producing seriously in 2018. And then once I did that, I started releasing music again in 2019. And that led to more opportunities like playing for Canadian Music Week, So Far Sounds. I did a set on my own artist set. And I had the opportunity to be the MD for Matt B, who's a Billboard charting artist, Grammy contender. And of course, I also got to play for Sean C. Johnson when he was in Toronto in 2019 as well. And through that whole journey, it took 6 years for me to hit my breakthrough year, which was last year during the Panorama. That year, I finally got my first radio placement on G98.7 in the gospel rotation with my single Refocus that I did with Sean C. Johnson. And I also hit my first 10,000 streams on Spotify with my single Levels. So 2020 was quite a year. So I did all that during a pandemic. I'll go into that later on. But yeah, I've had the opportunity to be on several Spotify playlists. I've had my music played internationally, so in the US, the UK, Europe, South America, Japan, and a couple other places. And just earlier this year, I was a part of a series with Sade Wahid. She is at the A&R at Sony. And she has this series called Off the Record that she does to showcase different Toronto artists. And I had the opportunity to play for a couple of artists that are pretty big in Brampton right now. And to date, I've released 16 singles, 2 EPs, and 1 album. And I've got lots more coming. And of course, I just recently released my anniversary single, Late Arrival, which was actually on my very first project that I put out in 2016, which celebrated 5 years. So yeah, that is a bit about me.
Awesome. So in your beginning stages when you decided, piano was the way to go,
Yeah.
who were your early musical influences? Like, who were you checking out? What kind of music were you listening to at the time? You mentioned jazz, but were there any specific people that you were checking out at the time?
So, well, let's go to classical music first because that was my foundation. One of my musical influences was Chopin, and for him, I admired his chord structures. I played a lot of his preludes. So prelude in E minor, prelude in B minor. Yeah, those were some of the songs that I was really fascinated about with him. His chord game is ridiculous. Like, you'd have to like study his stuff to see. And then of course in high school, Alicia Keys was my go-to. I would download all her music off of those websites and learn them and play them at school. But for her, she made it like me see that it was possible to be successful in the industry is a black female
Mm.
instrumentalist. So even though she's saying I don't sing, for all those who are asking or probably wondering, I don't sing. But just to see somebody who looked like me in the industry who was successful,
Yeah.
that motivated me. On the jazz side, Oscar Peterson.
Canadian legend.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. About him, he has huge hands. So a lot of people will ask me, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "I'm a piano player." And they said, "No, you can't be." And I said, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Your hands are too small." So I said,
Mm.
"Oh, okay. I didn't know you had to have a specific size hand to play the piano. I thought anybody could play the piano." Exactly, right? So if you notice in a lot of my
Hands.
videos on social media, I do a lot of stretching.
Hmm.
So I can stretch almost 14 keys in one hand. Yeah. So Oscar Peterson has huge hands, and he has like these crazy stretches in his music. There's one song in particular, the Gentle Waltz.
Yeah.
He was playing like a D flat all the way to like a G flat, then octave higher.
Mm.
Let me see if I can show you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see what an octave looks like.
Okay. So
Are those weighted keys?
they're semi-weighted, so I
Am I-
actually took
okay.
it. So this is an octave here, right? His I think it was like a major 11th, which is like all the way here.
Wow. Get that reach.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I can get to probably about the F on a good day. But yeah, that's as far as I can go right now, which is about 9, 10, 11 keys right now. When I actually stretch properly, I can go further. But
Mhm.
yeah.
You know what's crazy about that? I want to encourage everyone that thinks, it might be impossible based on physical limitations that you can't play. I just dropped a name in the chat. And if anyone can go there real quick and check out this jazz musician, he's an amazing jazz musician, okay? And he's probably no taller than, he is a little person. Yeah, he's a little person. Is that the political correct term right now? I feel like
Yes,
it
I
changes
think
like
so.
every year.
Yeah.
But yes, he's a little person and he is a jazz monster. So I just want to drop that in there, just to encourage anyone that's thinking, any sort of limitations, whether it be, oh, I'm this, I'm that, whatever it is. I feel like these days, like Desiree is talking about, Alicia Keys being able to break down boundaries and walls. And it's like, doesn't matter if you're black, you're a woman, you have small hands, you could be all three, have all three, and you can still be phenomenal, right? It just depends on your passion. It depends on how bad you want it at the end of the day, and it's funny you mentioned Oscar Peterson. Before that, he was influenced by Art Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Art Tatum, I think he was legally blind, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was.
Legally blind, and he would listen to these jazz records that were played by two people, but he didn't know that. And he didn't let that stop him. He just kind of went for it, just assumed like this was one person, just played that and developed this like crazy technique, crazy dexterity, just like probably arguably the best piano player ever. When Oscar Peterson heard him, he stopped playing for like maybe 4 months or something like that because he was just discouraged. So yeah, just don't let anything stop you. Like we know Ray Charles exists, Stevie Wonder exists, Alicia Keys exists, Desiree exists. Like there is no limitation when it comes to music because music is also something that's so subjective. Like there's no science behind it. It's not like you're required to lift something in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same thing. You know what I mean? It's your passions, your desire, whatever is feeding that. Then go for it. All
Yeah.
right, so we talked a little bit about the music side. What about production? Is there a list of producers that maybe influenced you, or was production something that just immediately just came like, this is what I want to do, like this is my passion now, or were you influenced at some point by previous producers?
I wasn't really influenced by any producers in particular,
Hmm.
because producing was never something that I even cared to do.
Okay.
I would just produce per keys. That was it. So it wasn't until 2018 when I actually tapped into all of my gifts, if I can say that,
Mhm.
because I play 15 instruments. So
You wanna talk a little bit about that just before you go
yeah,
ahead? So just name a
yeah.
few of them, just so we
So
can get an idea.
so I play all the woodwind instruments. So flute, clarinet, bass clarinet, all the saxophones. I play all of them. I play all the brass instruments. My favorite one being the euphonium. I play percussion, pretty much all of them. I can't play a full drum kit, but I'm working on it.
Okay, okay.
I play violin, viola, steel pan, guitar, acoustic, electric, kinda, bass because my dad plays bass, and I think that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. So production wise, I never tapped into those instruments.
Hmm.
I would only do keys. So that kind of forced me to have to rely on other people to help me out, which kind of put a damper on me being able to put up music as often as I wanted to, because I always had to rely on somebody to play bass and this person to do drums and this person to do guitar, knowing that I can play those instruments. So it wasn't until 2018 I tapped in and I was like, wait, I can do most of these things myself because I can play these instruments. Now, the beauty of GarageBand, Logic Pro, you can do everything MIDI, right? So there's bass in here. I play key bass all the time. So it was using those MIDI instruments and just creating all of my production to the point where now I can do this. I don't have to rely on people anymore. So now I can put up music more often.
Wow.
But
That's phenomenal.
yeah, it was a process. So I never went to no school or anything for this.
Hmm.
One thing I can say with me is, yeah, I went to school, but a lot of my learning was done outside of school. So my learning was done through listening, through experimenting, and through just, listening to other people. So listening and experimenting. So a
Interesting.
lot of the things that I do now is because of those two things.
Wow.
And then I learned and researched after what it was. Like, for example, reharmonization. I didn't know what that was. But I would get comments saying, oh, that was a nice reharm. What's that? I never learned that in
So what
school.
is a reharm for people that don't understand?
Okay, so the way that I understand it to be is basically taking a melody line and lining up chords with the melody line. That's how I understand it to be. So I can play like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And then what I'll do is I'll take the melody notes and pair them with chords that have that note in it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it could be just a third 3-note chord, could be a seventh chord, can be any chord.
Hmm.
Um, so I didn't know what that was.
Wow. So with production versus playing, right? Obviously, they're both avenues where you can express yourself and you feel liberated. Do you feel
Mm-hmm.
like one allows you to express yourself more than the other?
No, I think I can express myself in both ways. I just find like, because I write everything for keys first,
Hmm.
and then to further, I guess, turn it into more of a song, then I'll use the production and just kind of hear different instruments as I'm playing. So I'll come up with something and I'll hear strings and I'll hear like a bass line and I'll hear like a drum pattern. So then I'll take what I've written on keys, put it inside Logic Pro, and then build around it.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
compose on paper first.
No, I compose by ear first.
Oh, okay. Because you said raw. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll sit here, I'll record or come up with something because I'm a very spontaneous person. So I don't plan anything.
Is
Every
that the
single
key?
song I've ever put out, I've never planned.
Is that the key to success?
Not
Spot-
necessarily,
spot-
because it doesn't work for everybody, right?
Okay.
There's people who have to plan their releases, they have to plan their songs, like, or they have to plan their studio session.
Mm,
I'm somebody like I play based on feeling, and feeling is not something you can teach.
yeah. Yeah.
Right? So it's just something that you naturally have. And for me, that's how I create my music. I create based on my mood or how I feel, and that will translate into my playing.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. All right. Well, like I said, we have a special treat. We got some cool stuff that Desiree is about to show us and get into.
Yeah.
So I guess without further ado, I'll hand it over to you and you can get into what you have prepared for us.
Okay, awesome. So, um, as Brian said, I released a song recently on Friday called Late Arrival. Um, that song is from my 2016 project called 20. Let me see if I can pull it up here in my slideshow here. So let me just go through. So these are all of my releases since the dawn of time. So Late Arrival, I did a remake of it. So it was a part of this project here with, if you look at the one with the two faces, that's my 2016 project. That's where Late Arrival comes from. So I decided to do a remake of Late Arrival and re-release it. And it was in celebration of the 5-year anniversary of the project. So 5 years ago, Friday, I released that first project and I said, let's do something to celebrate. So I said, let me do a remake. That's the first thing. Now, I'm going to give you guys an exclusive. Nobody knows this. Nobody knows this. Next week, Friday. Let me just say, follow me on YouTube. That's all I have to say. But I'm doing a visual for this song and I'm releasing it next week, Friday. So this is new knowledge. Nobody knows this. I haven't said anything to social media yet. So this is
Did you already
exclusive.
Did you already drop
I
your?
haven't dropped it yet. Nope.
Okay, in the chat, your YouTube page. The link.
Let me do that right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
YouTube. You could just type in Desarae Dee. So you've heard it here first. Don't tell nobody. I haven't even announced it on social media yet. So you guys are the first to know that this is my first visual ever as an artist. Just thought I'd put that out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you guys Late Arrival. And you will just have to listen to the original at some point, probably after this session, so you can hear the difference. And the one thing I like about this is that it really does show my growth as a musician and as an artist. So yeah, I'm gonna play this for you. Let me see if I can. I need to make sure I can see the Zoom while I'm playing this. Technology. Okay. pedal was like slipping.
Wow. Desiree, what goes on? Like, I don't even know where to start.
Mind you, that's the remix. So you'd have to
Yeah.
actually listen to the original.
You want to just drop the title of the song in the chat as
Of
well?
course, absolutely.
Because we have like the chat's blowing up right now. We have a whole bunch of fire emojis. Someone just said Desiree, all caps. Someone said that was a heat. Like when it comes to composing and
Yeah.
like bring us into like your headspace when you're there, you're creating. You brought that song to fruition. Like, what did that look like?
Okay, so as I was getting my project together that this song was on, I had 7 songs at the time, and I was trying to figure out what other song to add to the project. Shamar, I'll get to that in a second. um, yeah, I wasn't sure what other song to um, put on the project. And I actually wrote this song a while ago and I forgot about it. So when I was putting the project together, I was like, wait, I have this song that I wrote. I wrote this song in 2015 and I had it sitting in my computer and I just forgot about it. And when I was doing the project, I was like, oh, yes, let me put this song. So it was a late arrival. So it was the last minute addition
I
to
see.
the project. So the original late arrival was played by myself. Adrian Edwards played drums, and Anthony Wisdom played bass. That was on the original track. Now on the remake, I had Kemi Siala. He played bass. So if you know who Kemi Siala is, look him up. He's disgusting. He is his
That's
turnaround time is ridiculous. I gave him the song and he gave it back to me in less than 24 hours. Okay? Less than 24 hours. Let me just say that. And then my co-producer was a guy named Connor Chan, aka King Chino. So if you know who King Chino is, um, you'll know. He's done production for a couple of people in the city, but he played guitar, he did some of the synths, and he did the beats. Yeah, yeah. And then I had organ on there. So this was a guy from the States. His name is Caleb Gathright. He played organ on the track. And then I did the keys and I did other synths as well. Yeah, so that was the remake. So
wow.
that song has a lot. So um, I've in the beginning, I guess when I first came out as an artist, a lot of people would compare me to Robert Glasper a lot. So if you listen to that song, there's a lot of they say there's a lot of Robert Glasper influence in that song, which
Hmm.
I get it. I understand. It's an honor to be compared to him because he's amazing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
bro.
I wrote that
Right now.
song. When did I write? Yeah, I wrote the song in 2015. So my mindset back then was I think I had just finished school and I was like studying him and stuff. And I don't know, I just one day sat at my piano and I heard all these chords in my head.
Mm,
So it's really hard to explain sometimes because again, I don't plan these things.
yeah.
So
You find some of that comes from just your experience from what you've listened to in the past, like because you have like, a wide catalog that you've listened to before, right? So,
mm-hmm.
if you have like an eclectic music taste, you probably have a whole bunch of things to draw from, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So how
absolutely.
so I guess tell us a little bit about your experience with listening to like different genres and how that influences like how you became a great player.
Yeah. So growing up classically trained, I learned jazz in school. I was introduced to Robert Glasper by one of my classmates, and I spent the summer studying him. So I would actually try to learn his pieces, attempt. And this was when I was still in school, still learning jazz, still learning chords. Um, but for me, it was just studying his mind and how he came up with his music. That's what instantly drawed me. So I'll take an artist, I'll listen to their music, and it will be something specific about that music that will draw me to them. So like Alicia Keys, she had the classical influence in her music, so that drew me in. Right, her melodies drew me in. Oscar Peterson, his stretch, because I can hear the stretching in the music, and I guess the cool thing about listening to music is being able to isolate certain instruments. So with Robert Glasper, I could isolate the keys and only hear the keys. It's really weird. People
Is that
ask me
like a
how I could do
skill
that.
that you have to develop, or is that something that's unique to you?
I
that you-
think it can be a skill, but also it probably is unique to me. But I just have this weird ability to isolate instruments when I'm listening to them. So
Mm.
if I'm listening to a song, and I want to hear the keys, I will block out everything and I can just hear keys,
Wow.
or I can block out and just hear bass, or I can block out and just hear guitar. So I feel like it's a skill that can be developed,
Mm.
right? Um, Listening comes in so many different forms. There's so many different ways to listen. Um, and it just depends on what you want to listen for. So I can listen for nuances. I can listen for melody. I can listen for just the way it's played. I can hear how somebody feels in their music,
Like the mood of
like the mood and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, obviously, a lot of that is coming through in your music, so that's amazing. So I guess a big takeaway from this would just be, expand and try to check out as much music as you can. And I guess whatever you mess with, whatever you like, is gonna come out in your music one way or another, right?
Yeah, I've always encouraged people to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Listen and experiment. A lot of the things that I know how to do, I can't explain. All I can say is listen and experiment,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I've done. Yeah, I've learned the basics in school and I've learned the theory and all of that stuff, but the real learning happens outside of school. So they tell you, oh, we're going to teach you everything you want to know in school. That is not true, because you really learn things in through experience,
Mm-hmm.
listening, experimenting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So everyone heard that. You gotta listen, and I think that's a big part of music, just listening first. Like there's a lot of people that just want to play and make noise, and not a lot of people want to listen and take in and absorb and just appreciate what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So Desiree, I have a laundry list of questions from people that sent them in ahead of time.
Yeah.
Um, do you want me to get into this after your presentation, or do you want to do that now?
Um, well, let's see what the people want. Do you guys want me to break down one of my songs?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm kind of in that mood now. I mean, we could leave the questions till the end.
Yeah, because I have two songs. Hopefully, we have time. Um,
So that song that you just did, is that one of the songs you'd be breaking down?
no, I
Okay,
have two
okay.
other songs.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So let's leave these questions till the end. Anybody that has any other questions in the chat, feel free to drop them, and I'll do my best to just update our little list here of questions. And yeah, I'll turn it back over to Desiree, and let's see what else you got for us.
Okay, so let me go back to my my presentation really quick. It can. I don't know what happened there. Okay, 1 second. Oh, here we go. All right, so I'm just gonna go back to my releases here. Oh no, I missed one of them. Okay. So the first song that I'm gonna show you guys is a song called "Take a Step." I'm just gonna do a little background on that song. So basically, I wrote that song during the pandemic. I wrote it last year. 2020 was my writing year, and for that particular song, I wrote as just like an encouragement to people to take the first step in your life journey. Take the first step in your purpose. Sometimes the first step is hard to take, but take it anyways. So that was kind of the premises of how I wrote that song. So I like to relate, even though my music is solely instrumental, I like to relate it to life and just like taking steps towards your purpose. That was the reason why I wrote the song. So I'm going to play it for you first. This is like all raw. So if you want to hear the mastered version, you have to go on Spotify. So I'm going to play you the raw version, and then I'm going to break down what I did with that song. Okay. So that was Take a Step.
I'm excited to see this one.
Thanks.
Cool sounds in there too.
Let me just make sure I have the right one. Okay. So.
Oh, Logic.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So.
Upgrade from GarageBand. Someone shouted out GarageBand in the chat earlier.
Yeah. So I actually made the switch from GarageBand to Logic Pro in 2019. I had a friend in Atlanta that was like, "You need to switch to Logic Pro." I said, "Okay." He said, "It's the same thing. You're gonna be fine." I was like, "Okay, sure." So I made the switch. No, these are not from the Nord. These are actually all MIDI sounds. So let's go here. Let me highlight.
Someone asked, is Logic Pro user friendly? I would say absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. Out of all the DAWs, it's probably the easiest to get started with.
Yeah, if you can, basically I said if you can use GarageBand, you can use Logic Pro. They're basically the exact same. It's just Logic Pro has more sounds, more choices.
And way more buttons.
Yeah. A lot more buttons. So
But I think with the new Logic X, there's actually an option to make it the simple version or the complicated version.
yeah.
Yeah, so you have that option, but Logic Pro is also great because it comes with a lot of stock sounds that sound amazing. Like the organ, the organ is probably the best organ I've heard, even for stuff that I've paid for, like sounds that I paid for. I'm like, this organ sounds way better than like the other ones, and it's like it's amazing. It's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, 100%. Let me see
I
here.
mentioned something about PreSonus. What about it?
Is
Like the DAW,
okay.
like the
It's that,
Studio One,
Studio
Studio One.
One? Yeah, Studio One. Yeah. I haven't messed with that one, but it looks very similar though. Like the interface looks fairly similar, but I haven't
But the
used.
Logic organ is better than the IK multimedia organ. Would you say that?
I don't know that one, but I'm gonna say probably. It's one of the best ones I've heard, honestly. Like even keyboard sounds like don't even sound that great to me. Like Logic is legit.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
So when I wrote this song, I wrote the keys first for it.
of course.
Because you'd be surprised. There's some songs that I actually wrote other instruments first prior to. I'm trying to fix my camera so you guys can see what I did. And of course, there's a lot of stretching in this song. Okay. So that was like the main part that you guys heard. So I dropped that first. And obviously I recorded it using Yamaha Grand Piano, which is one of these stock sounds in Logic Pro. After I did the keys, what did I do next? I did the beats. So here's the thing with me and beats, because I'm not no drummer. So I love Logic Pro because there's stock of everything. But what I do is I will mix drum loops from different genres. So I will take a drum loop from, say, hip hop, and I'll take one from house or something like that. And I will listen to the drum loop in its entirety, and I will chop what I like and get rid of what I don't like and put them together and make my own.
You're like a surgeon.
Yes, I'm the surgeon. So, or if I like the entire thing, I will take the entire thing and I'll mix it with another set of drums that I feel like will mesh together. So with Take a Step, I used two different drum beats in here, I believe. Yeah, I used one called Feeling Emotional and Full Spectrum Beat, which are actually both, one's a hip hop / R&B ish beat, and then the other one is a modern R&B beat. So I will play those on their own so you can hear. I kept the entire thing because I really liked it. And then the Full Spectrum Beat. felt like these two drum beats complemented each other well, which is why I used them. So it's kind of like you hear it and it's like one drum beat will fill in what's missing from the other one, which is why I chose those two. And then of course, I had to have the bass. And no, I did not have a bass player on this. I did the bass myself. So I'm going to play the bass line for you. Oh, not that one. Where are we? Synth E bass. Yeah, so I used the synth bass for this. At first, I had a regular bass. I think it was fingerstyle bass I used, but I didn't like it because it wasn't punchy enough. I needed that punch. So I went into the synth bass section and I chose a synth bass. And this one, I really
actually love that bass. Synth E bass.
Right?
I used to use this.
Let me add the keys in there. Where are we? There we go. That's the strings, but that's okay. That will still work. There it is. So, the bass was the third thing I added into this. But the main thing when I started with the keys was to make sure that the melody could be heard. That's the one thing, like when you're doing instrumental production, and you're starting with keys, you want to make sure that the melody's heard. That's like the most important thing. Like in all of my releases, you can hear some sort of melody, right? So that's the melody of the song, right? Right? So what I did was I really wanted to accentuate that melody line. So I threw in a synth on top. Trying to remember which one it was because there's so many on here. I believe it's probably the filtered saw lead. So I went into the lead section. So if you click this button here, and then this version is different. I have a 2012 MacBook, so everything's changed since then. But if you go into synthesizer and then go to lead, you have all your lead synth sounds. So I chose from that. And I kind of had to like go through all the synths until I found something that was very punchy. So I liked the filtered saw lead, so I used that to kind of play over to accentuate my melody line. So you'll notice with a lot of my songs, I have some sort of like synth or some sort of lead that will accentuate the melody, right? Because that melody is telling the story. So for somebody who's listening to instrumental music for the first time, they may not listen with the same ears as somebody else who's like diehard instrumental fan, right? And the one thing that I listen for when I listen for instrumental music, I listen for the melody, because that melody is going to tell the story, right? This song here tells the melody of taking steps. Dun, 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 right? That tells my story, right? So I tell that story and then I fill in where necessary. So whether that's with strings, bass, other little sounds, little synth sounds, and auxiliary sounds throughout to kind of accentuate what I'm trying to tell, whatever story I'm trying to tell with this song. So those are like the main parts. So what I'll do is I will add in everything. Now, the stuff at the beginning that you heard, I had a second producer on this song as well, Caleb Gathright. He's like my partner in crime. So a lot of the songs before he came along, I did everything. But of course, when you are trying to grow and trying to elevate as an instrumental artist, sometimes it's nice to have a second set of ears. So yes, I wrote this song during the pandemic and I kind of just put it off to the side. This was actually one of the songs that I almost didn't put it out. I almost did not put it out, but I went back to it and I said, I feel like there's something missing with this song. I don't know what it is. Maybe I need a second pair of ears. So at the time, I had met him literally on Facebook. He messaged me one day and said, oh, I know you through Dylan Smith. And I was like, oh, you know Dylan Smith? I was like, oh, yeah, cool. He asked me, what am I working on? So at the time, I was working on my Christmas EP. And he said, I want to help you. Never asked me for money. Never asked me for any credits, nothing. He said, I want to help you. And it's not very often that happens. Not very often. And in my process and in my journey as an artist, I'm trying to build a team right now. I never had a team. I did everything myself. But obviously, as you elevate, it's always nice to have like some sort of team together. So whether that's a second producer or I don't know, somebody who takes care of the back end. So it's nice to have a second producer. And he came along, didn't ask me for any money. He just said, I want to help you. And when you find somebody who just messages you out of the blue, loves what you do, and all they say is, I want to help you, hold on to that person because they're valuable. They're valuable to your journey. They mean something to your journey at that part of your journey. So if you find somebody like that, hold on to them and make sure you value them because it's so important. Like I told him, I said, I'm going to give you a percentage of every song that you do. We agreed on the percentage. He said, that's fine. No problem. So anytime I need him to do something for me, I say, I need an intro or I need you to fill in where I may have missed something. And every single time he's gone above and beyond. On top of that, his turnaround time was amazing. So that's one thing that I will also encourage you guys to do. Like if you're doing something for somebody or somebody's doing something for you, make sure your turnaround time is acceptable. Like that's so key. Like for me, I have deadlines that I have to hit. I have to make sure that I send everything to my engineer so that he has time. So for example, if my song is supposed to come out on July 23rd, I need to make sure my song is done by at least mid-June. And then I give my engineer at least 2 weeks to get it done. My engineer is Adam Pondang. He's worked with Looney Moonchild. He's worked with a few other artists as well. He's amazing at what he does. So I make sure I give him time. Sometimes, like if it's a time crunch, I'll tell him, I'm like, listen, man, I need you to get this done in 5 days for me. And he'll do it because I have that relationship with him. Build a relationship with the people around you, right? And yeah, he added the stuff that you heard in the beginning, he did that. The outro you heard, he did that. I never had the idea of doing an intro and outro for this song, by the way. He was the one who filled in what was missing. This song to date has 20,000 streams on Spotify. Imagine if I didn't put it out. Right? So clearly there's 20,000 people out there that really like that song. And had I not put it out, I would have never gotten that kind of response. But it's also because I had a second set of ears that filled in what I was missing on that particular song. So I hope that encourages you, because honestly, along your journey, you will encounter people that will elevate you in your music. You may not even realize what they're capable of doing if you don't give them a chance. Normally, I don't respond to random people in my DMs, but I don't know. I'm a Christian, so God will be like, listen, give that person a chance. Okay. I gave them a chance and he blew me away. We have done a few songs. And I'll just say this to you, as an instrumental artist, it's been very difficult. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's been an easy process. It's been very hard, especially at being who I am. I'm a Black female. I'm already at a disadvantage. I have to work twice as hard as any white female. I have to work twice as hard as any Black male female, and I have to work 10 times as hard as any white male. So it's not easy. I struggled financially, not having the resources, having to pull. A lot of what I've done has been my own money that I've invested. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I achieved this overnight. It took me 7 years. It was a process, but I felt really good about it. I felt good about the journey. It was a tough journey, I'll tell you. 2020 was my breakout year. That was the first time I took Spotify seriously. And I hit 10,000 streams. It took me 6 years, but that's okay. To now, I have 4 releases plus the one I just put out on Friday. Within the first 4 months I had 50,000 streams combined in less than 6 months. And I project that I will probably hit 100K before September. And that was a lot of work. It took me 7 years to get there. But that was just being consistent. That was one thing I learned in my artist journey, was to be consistent. So if I don't do anything else in my artist journey, be consistent. If you're serious, you will work to it every single day. I put out content. I'm also a content creator. So if you follow me on Instagram, I think I put it in the chat somewhere. I posted a video every week. I have a series called Cover Tuesdays that I started in 2017. 4 years I've been doing that. I've posted one song every week for 4 years. And I had almost 12,000 followers. My account got hacked this weekend. And now I have to rebuild. But it's okay. When you are elevating in your purpose, sometimes people will try to, detour you or try to, be haters and try to, take away everything that you've worked for. But when you're passionate about something, nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can take away passion from you. Yeah, they can try to take away your followers. But for me, at the end of the day, I want to be an impact. I don't care about the followers. I don't care about that. Jesus had 12 followers. He was able to impact those 12 followers. And guess what those 12 followers did? They told everybody else about Jesus. To now, millions of people know who Jesus is, just off of having 12 loyal followers. If you have 12 loyal followers, stick to the 12 loyal followers, and you will achieve billions because of impact. You have an impact on those 12 people, they'll tell those other millions of people about the impact that they had on you. So I don't do this for the followers. I don't do this for the money. I do it to impact. And that's the kind of mindset you have to have as an artist. You really do. Because why else are you in music? Is it for the money? I can't take the money with me when I die. Is it for the followers? I can't take the followers with me when I die. However, my impact will last generations and generations and generations and generations and generations. Money, I can't take money to heaven. There's plenty of money in heaven. But the impact, I want to leave that here on earth so that when I die, people are still talking about me. Desarae Dee. Oh, yeah, I remember her from like 300 years ago. Right? That's why I create instrumental music. I don't care who doesn't like it. Not everybody's going to rock with you. I had to learn that very quickly. And I tell this to everybody. Don't leave. Don't leave the city. Don't do it. Because guess what? You have to work harder if you leave the city. People will say, oh, you would do better in this country, and you would better in this country, and you would do this better in this country. And I said, okay, but I still have to put in the same amount of work I would here. Right? People ask me, how come you haven't left yet? Why am I leaving? It's not time for me to leave. Right? I just believe in building the city. I believe in building my city, even though they are terrible at support. They really are. And I'll be the first one to expose it. Terrible at support. But what I've learned is that I'm all about impact. So if I can make an impact in my city, why not stay? And when it's my time to go, I'll go. But the main thing to remember is, why are you doing this? Why do you want to be an independent artist? Why do you want to be an instrumental artist? Why do you want to be any artist? What is your goal? What are you trying to do? Right? So those are just some things you have to think about if you want to go into being an artist. Think about why you're doing it. What are you trying to gain from it? What do you want your impact to be? How do you want to impact people? How do you want to leave a legacy? So important. So, yeah, that's that. What did you guys think about Take a Step? Let me know in the chat. And when you're doing that, I'm going to pull up the other song.
Wow.
Yeah. The other song I have is called Triumph. That song I put out in... When did I put it out again? April? No, May. Sorry. What did I just do? Did I close it? Of course I did. Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Open recent. I literally just closed this entire thing. Oh, man.
That's okay. While you're looking up that, I'll look at some of these questions here.
Yeah.
There was one that I feel like is where is it here? Yeah, there's one that I feel like is relevant to what you were saying. So someone asked, what has your experience been like as a woman in music production?
Mm-hmm.
I find that at times I get disrespected, or people initially assume I don't know what I'm doing, which can be really discouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you guys a story. When I so I obviously grew up in the church, and in the church scene, so anybody who's also grown up in church, every church you go to, the band is full of guys. So there's a stigma, I think it's a stigma in the community, where women are not musicians. They're meant to be behind one of these here mics, right? So every church I went to, it was always females singing or behind a mic or anything like that. So seeing a female playing an instrument was like taboo. Or, people would say, oh, she can't keep up with the guys. And I would get questioned a lot. So I've played for quite a few people in the church. So I'd go to concerts and I'd have guys staring me down, and I could hear the chatter. Oh, what is she doing? Oh, she plays what? I've never seen a female musician before. Oh, what is she doing? She doesn't know. She probably doesn't know what she's doing. Blah, 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 blah. And I surprise people. And it's sad that we've allowed music to be a gender thing and that it's only specific to one gender. And I had to rise above that. And I had to show other guys that, listen, I'm just as good as you, probably better than you. And I can do this too. I can keep up with you, right? I can play Robert Glasper stuff. You probably can't. Just saying. I'm just as capable as any guy out here who can play an instrument. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of very talented female musicians. I'll just name you a few. Sarah Thawer. Everybody should know who she is. International drummer, right?
I just dropped it in the chat as well.
Yeah. Cassandra O'Neill. Sheila E. Saya Gray. Daniela Bernard. She's from the UK. Who else? There's a couple other people. I can't cut off the top of my head. But yeah, there's plenty of talented female musicians, right? Joy Laps Lewis. She's a dope steel pan player. Dope. Kim Burrell can play it. Yes.
And
Twinkie Clark. Winky from the Clark sisters. Yeah. She's a dope organ player. Stop this. So I laugh at guys. It's as far as it's gotten, where I literally laugh at people. I laugh at guys all the time. As long as you are knowledgeable, right? You know your stuff. Nobody can tell you nothing. No guy can tell you nothing.
Because I think half of these, all women band too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No man can tell you anything. They can't tell you don't know how to play. I've had guys tell me, "Oh, Desarae doesn't know what she's doing." Oh, I'm sorry. I have 25 years of experience. I have 2 university degrees. I made it to level 10 RCM. What are you talking about? And I don't say any of this to brag. I'm just saying, like, this is my resume. My resume speaks for itself. So nobody can tell me anything. I just make sure that I'm knowledgeable about stuff. I do my research. I just come prepared. I flex on people. I flex on the devil. Right? Yeah. I honestly just be confident in who you are. Be confident in your abilities. Be confident in your knowledge. And nobody can tell you anything. That's the best advice I can give you. Is as if you come and you know your stuff and you're confident in who you are, you're confident in your abilities, your talents, no one can tell you nothing. That's just what I've had to learn. So I hope that answers your question.
I think it answered, and it also encourages as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone feel free to check out all the names that we dropped in the chat, because heavy hitters, like monster musicians. I had the opportunity to see Sheila E. and her band. Phenomenal. Like I didn't even have words. Kim Burrell obviously is one of the most amazing musicians out here, and the list goes on and on. Cassandra O'Neill is one of my favorite though. Oh my god. Oh, and keys. she's a monster. So Jonathan said confidence mixed with talent and humility is a deadly combination. Absolutely. And I feel like, again, like Desarae said, like you get that confidence by, making sure, you are equipped, you know what you're talking about. It's not like you just woke up one day and said, oh, I'm just the greatest. No, you actually put in the work behind the scenes, and you're worthy of the call.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we at with the screen? Did it pop up?
I found it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So this is the second song that, yes, come with the receipts. I have plenty of receipts for their head tops. So
receipts.
Receipts. Yes. Okay. So the second song that I have here is called Triumph. I released this song last month in May. And basically it speaks to those who, have gone through something in their lives. So whether that's, obstacles, adversities, and remembering those struggles that you went through and you overcame them, and you celebrate the wins. This pandemic has been hard on everybody. It's been hard on me as well, as I'm sure it's been hard on you guys as well. But one thing that I've learned from the pandemic is I'm going to celebrate every single win that I've had. the big ones, but most importantly, the small ones. People tend to sleep on the small wins and don't understand how impactful the small wins are in life. Getting up out of bed. A lot of people have not been able to get out of bed. They're no longer here. That is a win. Being able to, I know people struggle with mental health. I struggle with mental health. I have high functioning anxiety. So I get it. I overthink a lot. I worry a lot. I am getting therapy for it. But even just being able to get through a day without having a mental breakdown is a win. Right? So this song just speaks to, overcoming obstacles in your life, celebrating the small wins. Even for me, a small win was achieving my first 1,000 streams on Spotify a few years ago. That was a small win. That might not be a significant win to somebody who probably has 1 million+ streams, but to me, that's a win. And I'm going to celebrate that. Everything that you do that's positive is a win. So that's what this song is about. I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm going to break it down really quick. I caught the faces at the end. Yeah, you guys caught the key change, right? At the end. Okay. So, like I said, it's always nice to have a second pair of ears. I never intended to have a key change on this song, but my partner in crime says you have to add a key change. I said, okay, sure. And he actually, all he did with this song was suggest the key change and added the synth at the end. That's all he did. I did everything else. So when I heard the key change, I was like, oh, we're going down a whole tone. Okay. I was expecting like a half step. That was it. Nope. He went down a whole entire tone. So if you don't know how to change keys in Logic, I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay. You're going to go to this little button here called Info. And you're going to click on one of your sounds. Obviously, these are just WAV files, so you would have to actually do it with MIDI files in order for it to work. And you're going to go to Region right here for the sound, and you're going to go to this section that says Transpose. You're going to click on it, hopefully this thing clicks. But yeah, you're going to click on it. And if you want to transpose up, you're going to put a plus sign and how many semitones you want to go up. So, for example, this song is in the key of D minor. I went down a whole tone to C minor. So I would have to put -2 so that it goes down 2 semitones. If I just put -1, it's only going to go down a half step. So a lot of people think that if you just go down -1, it's a whole step. It's not. You have to go down 2 semitones for it to be a whole step. So if I wanted to go from D minor to C minor, I have to put -2 in that particular sound that I want to transpose. If I want to go to E flat minor, then I would just put +1 because I'm just going up a half step. So just a noteworthy tool, and it saves a lot of time instead of you trying to figure out how to transpose it yourself. You can use that transpose tool if you want to transpose your music in the future. So with Triumph, this song, I actually did not write the keys first for this song. I actually wrote the bass line first. So I'm going to isolate the bass line for you guys so you can hear the bass line. And I, again, used synth E-bass. It's my favorite. I love it. Let me see here. So that's literally the bass line for a majority of the song. And then if I were to go to the chorus here. Oops. Or maybe that's the end. Sorry, I gotta scroll back here to the chorus. It's right here. So it's literally so I went from 1 to 5 to 1 and then added 2, 3. And then I went to B flat. So 1. Then I went to 6. And then I went to 3. And then 7. All right. That's literally all the chorus was. And then the main part. So it's literally just going from 1 to 6, back and forth with that same 1 5 1 3 2, 1 5 1 2, 1 5 1 2 3, 2 1 5 1. Bum, 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 bum. That was the bass line. And then I did the beats after that. So for this song, I chose to do quite a few beats. So I have Nightingale Drive beat. A lot of these beats are found in either the hip hop or hip hop and R&B section of the loops.
Right?
Yeah. So I have No Fear beat, which is a hip hop beat. Nightingale Drive beat, that's also a hip hop beat.
Another reason why Logic is amazing.
Yep. And I also went into the percussion section. So when I wanted to just have some snare sounds or some hi-hats, I went into, so you would go into the loop section. You would highlight both instrument and genre so that you could see both the instrument section and the genres. So you highlight both. And I clicked hip hop and then I clicked percussion. So it shows you all the percussion instruments that you can use in the hip hop category. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I should be able to. So this is the loop button right here. And it should index. It might not show anything in here because this isn't my computer. Okay, so you highlight instrument and highlight genre so that you can see all the available instruments here, and then all the genres that are here. And you'd go to hip hop, and then when you click hip hop, it will isolate all the instruments that you can use or the ideas that they have there under hip hop, and then go to percussion. And there's a bunch of like different percussion things there that are available. So if you want to have just individual percussion instruments, so if you just want a snare, or if you just want a hi-hat, or if you just want a kick drum, you can go into those sections and isolate. So that's what I did with this one here. So I'm just gonna let you hear some of the that's what I did here. Let's go scroll here. That was the chorus. The beats, and then I did the keys. I did the keys after I did that. Let me see if I can pull up the keys here for you. And honestly, the keys that I did were so simple. It's nothing too extravagant, honestly.
Simple for who?
Second inversion, then I did a C major chord in second inversion, and then I did a D minor chord in first inversion. And then I played the same thing over the 6, which is B flat. So 2, 7, 6. I majored the 6. That was literally the first part. And then for the chorus, yeah. I keep the melody at the top of all of my chords. So that's key. And when you are reharmonizing, make sure the melody stays at the top always, and you just build underneath, right? So even like this D minor chord here, my melody note's at the top. So I had to make sure that the inversion that I chose has the melody at the top of the chord. Stretch for a few of the notes, but that's okay. So that was the keys section. there. I'm going to look at those questions afterwards. Thanks for sending those, guys. And then, of course, last but not least, I added all my auxiliary sounds, strings, and I did like some, what do you call it? Like some of the FX sounds, and like some soundscapes and whatnot, just to kind of add some fill-ins and whatnot. And then, of course, the key change. The key change happened in the strings, the bass, the keys. That was pretty much it at the end. And then my other producer added in the little synth solo at the end. And that was Triumph. I have some questions in here. I'm sorry. It's okay if you're late. It's all good. How did I start my journey as an instrumental artist? I'm a keys instrumental artist too, and what you do is inspiring. Oh, thank you so much. My journey as an instrumental artist. Okay, so it actually didn't start right away. I wrote my first song in 2014. It's called "I'll Worship You." It was a gospel song. That was my attempt at singing. My attempt, because I'm really not a singer. I'm more of a background vocalist, so I'll do like vocal arrangements and stuff like that. But not a lot of people know I do that, so don't tell anybody, okay?
Our
So
secrets.
yeah, that was kind of like a test thing. So I tend to do like test markets for my stuff to see like, okay, are they gonna like it? And if they like it, then I'm like, okay, I'll keep doing it. But going through that process of writing that very first song and doing all the vocals and stuff, and when I listened back to the music, I realized, wow, I'm more of an instrumental artist than I realized. So from that, writing that one song, it really propelled me into instrumental music. And just straight from there, I just decided that I wanted to be instrumental music and I wanted to tell my story using instruments as opposed to lyrics. Now, some of my songs do have lyrics, but that's only because I've collaborated with other artists who sing, right? But every single song I've written has been an instrumental piece. I'll write music and I'll be like, oh, I might hear some sort of vocal in this section of the song, and that's it. So if you notice a lot of the vocal collaborations I've done, you'll only hear vocals for one section of the song, and then the rest of it is instrumental. And that was just because intentionally that's where I want to hear vocals there, right? How did I test the market? So with that particular song, I didn't really have like a specific market at the time because I literally just put it out because it was my first song, just to see how people would react to it. What I did was, before I put out my first project, I did a couple people may know about this. Back in 2015, I reharmonized a whole bunch of different Christmas songs that are now on my Christmas project from 2016. But I said, if I put out a Christmas album, would you buy it? I just typed it on Facebook one day. And I actually put a demo version of my Christmas album on SoundCloud, and people actually responded. They're like, yo, this is so good, you need to put it out. I was like, okay, sure. From there, I put my music out. And one thing I will tell you guys, when you put your stuff on social media, especially Instagram, go into your insights. Your insights will tell you everything you need to know about your market. It will tell you what your age group is, like what's the most popular age group. So I think the age groups are 18 to 24, 25 to 34, 35 to 49, or something like that, 44 to 50 something. So what I found was, when I was posting my content, I found that my strongest age group was 25 to 34. So I would make sure that if I did promotions, I would promote to that age group. I also looked at what countries were doing well. I think my top 3 countries was US, Canada, and I think the UK or Nigeria or one of those places. So I would do targeted ads. And yes, you will have to invest money into this. I was doing things for free for a really long time, but I got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to push my material. Okay, I'm going to have to spend some money. And it's not like a whole bunch of money you have to spend. I remember spending only $5 and being able to reach that age group with like a couple of countries. So I chose like I think the UK, I chose Japan, and I think the US. And I did a targeted ad for that specific age group. And the amount of followers I gained from doing that, the amount of likes I gained from doing that, the amount of connections I gained through that. I'll tell you something. When I started just posting, I think when I first started, I just did covers. So like I mentioned, my Cover Tuesday series. That's how I met Daniela Bernard. That's how I met Cassandra O'Neill. That's how I met Michael Burrell. That's how I met Doobie Powell. That's how I met a couple other like big name people. And I made that connection. And it's funny, when I met Doobie Powell, Doobie was the one who actually followed me. I didn't even follow him. He followed me first on Twitter and then followed me on Instagram. And he did a challenge. So if you're a musician, pay attention to these challenges that these artists do. He did a challenge for one of his songs that he put out. And I did like a little rendition of it, and he reposted it on his page. And that's how I got a bunch of followers from his page, to the point where he's like, here's my phone number. Let's collaborate sometime. Mike Burrell, same thing. He saw me off of a post. Actually, I think it was, what's his name? It was Jonathan Martin. I don't know if anybody knows who Jonathan Martin is. And I think I posted a video. Mike Burrell liked it. And I didn't know who he was at the time. And somebody commented in the comments, Mike Burrell liked this. So when I looked him up on the internet, I was like, oh, so he's done everything for everybody. And he actually reached out to me, started a conversation, he gave me his phone number. He said, anytime you're in LA, let's work. So imagine if I was not consistent like that. I would have never met these people, right? So I found my niche. So I found something that resonated with my market. They liked the covers. Then I started doing reharmonizations of commercials, children's songs. They really liked that. And I was consistently posting those things on Instagram. And I was reaching people that I didn't even know existed. So definitely find your market. So find that targeted age group that likes your stuff. Promote to them. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money. You could spend $5, $10. I've spent $30. I've spent money to promote my music, to the point where now I actually invested in social media marketing. So I have an account manager and I have a company that backs him. So they help me with my engagement, my following. That's how I built myself from 0 to 12,000 in 7 years of being on Instagram. Before my account got hacked, but it's okay. All I can do is rebuild again. But yeah, finding a target audience will probably bring you a lot of followers, and just make sure you're consistent with your material as well. I hope that answers your question. Oh my God, there's so many questions in here. Let's see.
Yeah, I just dropped a few from the list.
Okay, speaking of piano, any affordable suggestions for solid piano VSTS for gospel music? I don't have that got that money. Honestly, I haven't played much gospel music. I don't really do much gospel music production. Currently right now, I have a producer friend who lives in New York, and he sent me a bunch of like Roland sounds recently. So I have like sounds from the Jupiter, sounds from the VS, sound from the DS, sounds from the Juno. And we've been friends for a while. So honestly, if you know producers who can send you these things and you friend them up, do that. Or you can buy them during Black Friday. I was just, fortunate enough to build relationships with people, and they're like, I think this would be good for you. Here, take it for free. I was willing to pay him for it, but he said, no, take it for free. Here you go. Right? That's the other thing about social media. If you find people that are like consistently supporting you, build that relationship with them. If you have like producers coming to your page and they really like your stuff, build a relationship with them. Like, relationships are so key in the industry. That's how you win in life. Build relationships with people. And make sure you have solid character. I can't stress that enough, especially in the city of Toronto. Character is everything. Character gets you very far. I can't tell you the amount of people that I've worked with and their character is not all that great. They're very talented, but their character is terrible. Talent will only get you so far. Your character will get you further than your talent. I'm just going to tell you that. You could be the dopest piano player, the dopest bass player, the dopest singer, the dopest guitar player. But if your character sucks, you're not getting very far. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So develop your character. Treat people the way you want to be treated, because word travels very fast in the Toronto music scene. Anybody has a bad experience with you, you're getting blacklisted. People will spread you out like, oh, I've worked with that person. They're not that great. Don't work with them. Right? Also, if you get an opportunity and the opportunity is not for you, pass it on to somebody that you might think would be good for that opportunity. Because I feel like a lot of us like to hold on to all the opportunities and we don't want to help other people, right? Somebody else could, win off of this opportunity, but because we want to be selfish and keep everything to ourselves. We don't want to share it with everybody. So if you have an opportunity that might not be for you, but you know somebody in the city that it could help out, give it to them, please. I urge you to do it, please. I want to see everybody win. I want to see all of you guys win in life. So connect with me on social media. Tell me what you do. I'm going to help you out. Trust me, I will. How many collaborations have I done? I couldn't tell you. It's been maybe over 100 in the last 7 years. I don't really keep count of that stuff. Let's see. How do you find the best sounds to put together? It depends on what kind of song I'm writing. Like Triumph, for example, right? I write my songs based on a story or based on a feeling. Like my story for Triumph was overcoming obstacles. What genre do I think of when I think of obstacles, overcoming things? I think of hip hop, like very like punch hip hop. Very upbeat, up tempo, with scapes, musical scapes. That's how I write my music, and I base my sounds based on whatever musical scape I'm trying to create for that particular song. And honestly, as I said before, 2 things: listen and experiment. Put those in your pocketbook. Listen and experiment. So I often have to re-listen to what I do to figure out what missing piece is there that I need to add to that song to elevate it, right? So I base my sounds based on whatever song I'm doing and whatever fits best. But I've had to listen to the song multiple times to be able to figure out what sound to put in there. I hope that answers your question. What do you find the hardest part of the production process, and what techniques do you use to overcome it? The hardest part of the production process. You know what? I think for me was trying to decide between certain drum patterns, because there's a couple of songs that I've actually released and I've had 2 different productions for that particular song. And I would like the drums on this production that I created, but then I would like something over here. So having to choose, okay, which drums is going to be better or which sound is going to be better. Sometimes there's multiple sounds that I really like, but at the same time, being an instrumental artist, you don't want to put too much in your music. You don't want to add too many sounds that it drowns out the melody, right? Because the melody is the star. So when you're creating instrumental production, don't feel like you have to put so much sounds on it, because then you could take away from what kind of emotion you're trying to invoke and portray. So I've had to learn that. Yes, I want to put so much into this song, but can't put all of this. Sometimes most of the music that I put out is literally just keys, bass, drums, maybe a synth and a strings. That's it. Sometimes that's all it is. Some other productions, it could be, oh, I have like a string section and a brass section. It just depends on the song. But not every song needs all of these sounds, because then you really drown out the main message or that main melody of the song as well. So just be selective. But then you kind of have to just go through that listening and experimenting process. And that will kind of tell you, okay, maybe I don't need this sound. And get a second pair of ears, right? Get somebody else to listen to it. And maybe they'll be like, oh, you probably don't need this much. Or maybe add a little bit more of this, right? Because sometimes I have to go to my other producer and be like, okay, what do you think? And he'll be like, okay, you need to add this, or you need to add this. And that person will could help you figure out what to take away if you can't figure it out. But I mean, the hardest process is just trying to, have to narrow down sounds. And you might think, oh my God, it sounds so great. But then you realize you probably don't need all of that in the song itself. I hope that answers your question. Speaking of sharing opportunity, any church keyboard players around? I have a few churches looking for a keys player. You can connect with me if you're interested. Oh, that's nice of you, Japs.
Happen with Japs.
You know what, Japs?
Thank you.
Do you follow? There's a group on Facebook called Buskwire. Do you follow that group?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, so that's the group you need to post. That, or even I think it's called Toronto Musicians Network or something like that. So if you have opportunities like that, post them in those Facebook groups.
Busk Choir?
I'll type it in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone, as you all know, at the end of our session, one small favor, just to fill out the form. It takes less than 2 seconds. Shamar can attest to that if he's still here. Yeah, Shamar, right? 2 seconds. See, thumbs up. It just helps us put on more sessions like this, and just know what you guys want to hear in the future. And yeah, I mean, it really helps us out. So even this session was a product of just knowing what everyone wanted, and we got to have a whole bunch of questions that came ahead of time. So yeah, if you don't mind, just take a few minutes and just give us your feedback. Let us know what we could do better, what you want to hear in the future. And that's pretty much it for the most part. But yeah, Desarae, we appreciate you so much. I feel like today was just like a session just to learn, to absorb, to be inspired. I'm seeing everybody inspired. I think, was it Joshua that said he wants to go produce now? He wants to go work on new music. He's probably not even here anymore. Someone just said it was so fun. Like, I mean, we really enjoyed the session. Like, the songs are great, the sound selection, and just seeing how you put these songs to, oh, Joshua's still here. What's up, Josh? Just seeing how you put all the sounds together, and you even brought your own keyboard. It brought like a different flavor, just being able to bring your own kind of tool. Because a lot of the bass players, they bring their own bass, guitar players, they bring their own thing, but keyboard players are just lazy. We just play like whatever is here. But, you brought something new and fresh to the table, and we really appreciate that. Your music is inspiring. There's everybody in here just inspired by your stories and just hearing it, and just, again, like a Black woman instrumentalist. I was going to shy away from that a little bit just to let you shine, just, on your own, just like as an instrumentalist and as an artist. But we can't run away from the fact that, there are different things at play here. So we really appreciate you. We thank you so much. I feel like we all learned a lot. I hope everyone dropped their what do you call them? Their handles. I'm not even on Instagram like that, so I don't even know handles.
Well, I mean, I did drop my handle, so if you want to follow me on Instagram, and if you have more questions for me, feel free to reach out. If you want to chat, if you have questions about production, if you care questions about being an artist, all of that. Like, I love to talk to new
Yeah,
people.
I know before she said she doesn't answer random DMs, but I don't think anybody here is random at this point.
No.
We're more like family now. Like I've seen a lot of you
Course.
all come out weekly on a weekly basis, and like it's just encouraging to keep us going. So yeah, appreciate you, Desiree. I don't know if anybody else has any last minute questions. I'll open up for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
If anybody has a last minute question here for Desiree, you can jump on and just ask your questions going once.
Or if
Uh,
there's something
I,
to say.
I'll ask something.
Go ahead, Japs.
I heard that Desiree is building her like team or something.
Yeah.
How do you apply to that? I'm interested in applying or something.
Talk to me. Send me a
Okay.
message on Instagram. We'll talk.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Desiree, you want to touch the keys for like 30 seconds and then we head out of here?
Oh, sure. No problem.
Just play anything. Just play.
Let me
play
see. You know what?
Even
I
that.
will play. No.
I'm joking.
You're funny. You
Yeah,
know
just
what? I'll
play a
give you
song.
guys a little sneak peek into my next release. How about that?
Oh, tonight, all kind of reviews and
That's all I'm gonna play for you. You gotta wait till the whole song comes out.
Desiree, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Everyone, thank you for coming out.
No
Hope everyone
problem.
ordered their food. If you got the if you register, if you were one of the first 20 people to register, someone said I'm gonna need a Desiree sample. Well, connect with her.
You
Send
know
her a
what?
DM.
I'm
Send
actually
her a
working
DM.
on something with this other company. So I'll let you know when it comes out.
Something should be coming soon. Hopefully, we get that on Splice and we can all download that soon.
Of course.
But yeah, everyone, I just want to again thank you all for coming out. Appreciate you all for staying. I know we stayed a little bit longer tonight, but what can you do? Sometimes service goes a little longer, you know.
Facts.
You know, we got like 4 sermons today, and I feel like everyone got something they could walk away with. So yeah, Desiree, appreciate that. Even playing for us at the end. I don't know why I'm still talking. I should have just ended it there. But no, we really appreciate you though, and I had to say that. So
No problem.
thank you, everyone. I think we're just gonna end it now. I'm trying to figure out a way to end this not like awkwardly, you know. Maybe just play and I'll just hit like leave in the chat.
I can't with you.
All right, everyone, take care. See y'all next time.